to the radio. Several days before the murders, look behind you. I said, look behind you. Like he was chanting some strange spell.
Enough with the chit-chat, let's get some growth going.
In August of 2014, during the Gamescom event of that year, a really bizarre trailer was showcased for a game called PT. They really didn't specify what the game exactly was, but it was labeled as an interactive teaser and seemed to be a horror game as it showed footage of people's reactions. It was developed by an unknown company called 7780 Studios. And that's literally it. They said it's available now on PS4 for free, download it if you want. But unbeknownst to those who viewed the trailer at Gamescom, this game would become quite possibly the biggest phenomenon in gaming history, as well as one of gaming's biggest mysteries. Hello everyone and welcome back to Game Talk, where we talk about games. Except we're starting off Season 2 on, well, technically it's a game, a horror game. Which you know what that means. Shit's getting spooky. I'm sure most of you are aware of the 2014 gaming phenomenon that is PT. If you don't know what it is, I hope you get suplexed by Kurt Angle through a piece of glass.
Oh, not again!
I explained at the beginning of the video about how unknown developers 7780 Studios released a free interactive teaser on the PS Store without any context on what it is and just said, it's free, download if you want. Sparking confusion, people downloaded it and underestimated what this actually was. It looked gorgeous, had amazing atmosphere, it was cleverly designed, and most importantly, it was scary. That's an understatement though. This blew up so much to the point where everyone and their pet kangaroo was doing playthroughs of this game and showing their raw reactions to it. In fact, it blew up so much where it actually inspired the likes of Layers of Fear and even Resident Evil 7. But I don't want to give too much context yet on PT. Even for those who know what PT is, I still want to go through it without any context and like it just came out. Because as far as I'm concerned, it's a game, definitely. But it is one hell of an experience. Just to clarify, this game will have some very confronting topics and images in it, such as murder, suicide, mild gore, and other topics I'll get into as the video progresses. Perfect for your average family-friendly viewing experience. So get the kids, get the popcorn, and watch at your own discretion. Now you know how with PS4 games, starting them up will usually give you a flash screen of maybe the main cover art or something obviously to do with the game. PT gives you some trees. Now what the hell does that have to do with a supposed horror game? I don't know, either they just put a stock image there last minute, or the game actually stands for Peculiar Trees. After looking at a black screen for several moments, very odd text that seems to have no current context appears. It reads, "Watch out, the gap in the door. It's a separate reality. The only me is me. Are you sure the only you is you?" A very odd quote, yes, but I'll explain what it actually means later. Alright, into gameplay already. No setup, plot, tutorial, nothing. Just that odd quote and a cock. Roach. Obviously nothing left to do besides go through this door. Whoa. Look at this game. Jeez man, this looks nothing short of spectacular. And for 2014 too, goddamn. This game looks sexier than my sister. Don't worry guys, I don't have a sister. Now what do you exactly do in this game? Well, you walk. Give it a bit guys, shit starts getting crazy real quick. Believe it or not, there is actually a plot to this game, but you'll find that it isn't shoved in your face about where you are, who you are, and how you got into this position. But it is there, waiting for you to uncover it through the use of images and minimal dialogue. Walking down the hallway, you start to hear some sort of news broadcast coming from a radio, talking about a father who shot his pregnant wife, son, and daughter before hanging himself in the garage. There's nothing much to do at first besides listen to the radio, so you head down the hallway to the only open door to find... Oh. Now it is one of those looping hallway games, but it quickly turns into the looping hallway game. It's not only just a different event occurring through each loop and maybe something going, but each loop has its own puzzle that needs to be solved before proceeding. These puzzles range from simply walking through the hallway normally, or staring through a gap in a door, to things like looking through a specific hole in the wall which is not always there, or finding scattered pieces of a picture of a woman to reveal a message. And it can seem unclear, but it was executed brilliantly. And it only gets intense when the looping hallway starts to show horrific images and terrifying events unfold. Things start getting intense at a fast pace as you progress. On your second loop, the exit of the hallway is closed, and you begin to hear banging on the bathroom door. On the third loop, the banging on the door is more intense, until all of a sudden, it stops. Until you get right up close to it.
Who can
On the fourth loop, as you approach the open door at the end of the hallway...
Ghost! Ghost! Ghost!
Okay, now, it's here where you first meet Lisa.
Look behind you. I said, look behind you. Like he was chanting.
Lisa is an entity which will stalk you throughout the game. She'll appear in front of your eyes, occasionally go boo, she'll possess items in the hallway, or sometimes you'll hear her crying and sometimes laughing. As we uncover more about the game, I'll explain what, or as a matter of fact, who Lisa is. On this particular loop though, the bathroom door is slightly open. You can't really see anything inside, but an eerie track begins to play and a baby can be heard crying from the inside. It doesn't seem like much until pressing R3. This will zoom the camera in, but as you do that, seemingly to try and see if there's anything inside... Excuse me, I'm gonna change my pants. And... probably my chair too. When you meet Lisa for the first time, this is the point where you definitely feel threatened or like you're constantly being watched throughout the hallway. And at some points, it's not just that you feel like you're being watched. You're actually being watched. You might not even spot this throughout your playthrough, but after a window falls from above you, you're given a slight jump scare. But if you look up, Lisa will be there, smiling at you, solidifying the fact that yes, you actually are being watched. But on the fifth loop is where you encounter this. Now that is one of the most haunting images I've ever seen. It's a perfect scene. You don't know whether this is actually a threat yet, but combined with the narrow walkway, you know that if it is a threat, you're in deep shit. The lighting doesn't capture the front of the figure as well, so you don't get to distinguish its features properly, and once again it falls into the category between human and non-human. I've explained this phenomenon in the past, but since your brain can't really determine if it's human or not human, the figure gives a very creepy and very uncomfortable undertone. And hey, if that wasn't scary enough, here's a picture where someone decided to adjust the lighting and saturation of that scene to make it look real. Thank you very much for that. I now want to lock every door in my house, drink a warm glass of milk, go to bed, go under the covers and eat my Jill sandwich while crying.
Oh, Barry!
For the last time, Jill, my name is Sir Wankalot. It's at this point where the game gets... weird. More unspeakable and disturbing events unfold as you loop more times throughout the corridor. You get locked in the bathroom and a baby starts crying until you realize the crying is coming from a goddamn fetus coming from the sink. The game starts taunting you with the radio talking to you directly and sometimes saying to look behind you, and sometimes Lisa will be there, sometimes nothing will happen. It honestly depends on your playthrough. Each time something different happens. The radio will also replay the clip of the news broadcast of the father killing his family, and then you start making connections. The broadcast explains how a father shot his pregnant wife in the stomach, and you compare that to Lisa, which has a visible bloodstain on her stomach, combined with the unborn fetus in the bathroom she was in. It felt really weird making the connection that the father from the news broadcast is the character you're playing as. And the game knows when you start making these connections, as right after you do, the game takes another weird turn. At one point, you will literally experience that one time I snorted coke off a homeless man's boner. You move at an unrealistic speed and motion blur is through the roof. The music is trippy and almost satanic-like. After a bit, the fetus in the sink starts talking to you.
You got fired, so you drowned your sorrows in booze. She had to get a part-time job working a grocery store cash register. Only reason she could earn a wage at all is the manager liked how she looked in a skirt.
Imagine getting talked down to by a fetus. All the pictures in the hallway are moving eyes, possibly representing your character in their current state, and the end of the hallway isn't actually there no matter how far you run. The hallway just keeps staying the same, representing that your character is now aware of the situation unfolding. And the thing is, the game knows how it wants you to feel at every single moment. To at first confused in what the hell is actually going on, to worried that something might happen at any moment, to downright horrified, to a combination of the three. But I haven't explained one feeling that the game gives you, and to be honest guys, I have no idea what this specific word for this feeling is. It's a combination of feeling helpless, miserable, and downright just feeling bad. There are two examples of this. After the trippy hallway scene, you can look through a peephole to the bathroom, where you will hear a woman getting tortured and eventually decapitated.
Now's the time. Do it.
But the next one is a much worse offender, and the more you witness this scene, the deeper it sinks in. At one point, you loop through the hallway and the lights have turned red, accompanied by the sound of a baby crying. Except that It isn't a baby crying. It sounds more sinister than that. Like a baby not exactly crying, but more like a baby in distress. Like a baby being physically harmed, which is already a terrible thought, but continuing through the hallway gives you a horrifying image of a fridge swinging from the ceiling with blood leaking out of it. And guess what? The baby's voice is coming from inside of it. Not just its voice, but thuds of the baby hitting each side of the fridge as it swings. And like I said, the more you listen to it, the more helpless you feel throughout this situation. It's horrible, but ironically, it's brilliant. The execution of the game playing with your emotions like that is absolutely phenomenal. This is where you get to the last loop. The hallway will be completely pitch black. The only source of illumination you have is from your flashlight. From this point on, you can keep looping through the hallway as many times as you want, but it won't progress. Though now it gets really unclear on how you actually progress. There are theories out there on what exactly to do at this moment, but they all range from finding the pieces of a picture of a woman, to walking 10 steps in one direction after you hear a bell ringing, to hear a baby laugh, to spotting Lisa through the window, in the mirror, in the hallway, in your ass, to using your PS4 mic at the telephone and calling Domino's and ordering a what the fuck is going on pizza with extra fuck. This end part is a complete mess and a weird decision to have in a somewhat easy to follow game like this. Anyway, after doing whatever the hell the game wanted you to do, the phone will start ringing and interacting with it will give you the radio broadcast guy from before saying,
You've been chosen.
Walking through the door at the end will give you an audio clip, but not before giving you and the gaming industry the shock of a lifetime. A cutscene plays of a man walking through a town, and a few names show up of the people who developed this. First name is Hideo Kojima. Okay, you're telling me one of the best game designers of all time was one of the minds behind this? Yeah, I'm not surprised. Then it's followed up by Guillermo del Toro, the guy who directed Pan's Labyrinth, Kronos, and Pacific Rim. Jeez, these two are working together? Just saying that makes the hair stand up on my teeth. And finally, Norman. And what exactly are they working on? Oh my flippin' tiddlywinks. You're saying arguably the best game designer of all time, arguably the best film director of all time, and a really good actor is working on a modern game on arguably one of the best franchises in gaming history? I just shat myself in excitement. Silent Hill hadn't really seen anything good since the early 2000s with Silent Hill 4. It looks like it's coming home and out with their shitty western takes on such an important franchise. And guess what PT stood for? Playable teaser. And guess what the 7780 and 7780 studios meant? Well, it's the square meters of an area in Japan which can be translated to quiet hills, similar to Silent Hills. I'm not even kidding, look it up. It all seemed clear now. An extremely abstract psychological horror experience touching upon obscure and taboo topics? It should have been clear from the beginning. And remember that weird quote from the beginning? Well, after that trippy hallway part, the game will make you think your display is messing up until you get an error message, making it seem as if the game has crashed. But you'll wake up in the starting room again, this time with your flashlight. There will be a bloody paper bag sitting on the table. This won't be here at any other point in the game. A deep voice can be heard from inside the bag, and it's an extension to the quote from the start of the game.
I walked. I could do nothing but walk. And then, I saw me, walking in front of myself. But, it wasn't really me. Watch out. The gap in the door. It's a separate reality. The only me is me. Are you sure the only you is you?
This is probably one of the best quotes I've ever heard, as it foreshadows the end of the game. Not just that, but you aren't given any context on who the quote is actually coming from. After analyzing it, I now realize that the quote comes from you. No, not you, the character you're playing as, but you, the player. Let me explain. I walked. I could do nothing but walk. This is referencing that in the game, you can only walk. There is no running, jumping, crouching, and the interactivity is very minimal. But you can walk and talk about your life problems with fetuses.
Right.
And then I saw me, walking in front of myself. This is referencing that you did not see your character as it was in first person, until the final cutscene where you saw your character, aka you, walking in front of yourself. But it wasn't really me. This is then referencing how the character is technically you, as you're controlling them, but they're not you. You're you. It then refers back to the original quote, and at this point, you're not speaking anymore. The game is speaking to you. Watch out. The gap in the door. it's a separate reality. Obviously referring to how through each loop in the hallway, each door you walk through, it's a different reality. Meaning it will always be different to the last loop. The only me is me. This is maybe the game saying that the bag talking to you only exists in this reality, because this bag will not be there at any other point in the game. Are you sure the only you is you? Well, this is the game making you question your identity. Are you the character, or are you just simply controlling him? You're the player, right? Or not? You're you. Now the thing is, this came out of nowhere. There was no rumors about it beforehand, there was no speculation about a new Silent Hill game coming out, but beside the point on nothing in PT actually having any correlation to the final product, who knows how masterful this final product can be? Who knows how deep the story can go, and who knows how scary it can be? This was looking to be one of the greatest and scariest horror games of all time. Shortly after the whole reveal became public, PT became one of gaming's biggest mysteries, though unfortunately it was the predecessor to one of gaming's largest tragedies. Silent Hills was cancelled. Kojima, who was making Silent Hills, and Konami, the owner of the Silent Hill IP, parted ways, thus forcing the cancellation of this project and PT being pulled from the PS Store. So if you managed to download PT back in the day and you still have it on your PS4, I heard they sell well on eBay. Or you could just give it to me. The same group of individuals behind this did go to create their own thing, Death Stranding, which I won't lie is a great game, but dare I say Silent Hills would have been more impactful, not because of my bias towards the franchise, but because of all their thoughts and ideas had to be transferred over to something else. The Silent Hill fans and a lot of horror fans still feel the impact and are mourning the loss of it still to this day, and that glimmer of hope that the Silent Hill fans saw in the series is well gone. But at least PT is a positive thing to look back to. People are still finding new things and decrypting Kojima's nonsense still to this day, and the way I got to play it was through a fan remake which is nearly identical to the original. I 100% recommend checking it out. It really took me by surprise as well, because I watched countless playthroughs of the game, but the game feels so much different when you're playing it. I can say for sure that it was one of the greatest horror experiences I've had in a long time. Nevertheless though, PT makes the good list and gets a 9 out of 10. I know, it's not a proper game, it's a teaser, but it was too good not to give it the praise it deserves. Plus, it wasn't really an indie project, well-known people worked on this thing. And I can't say much more besides check it out if you haven't already. The fan remake's out there and it's free. What the hell? Hello?
Look behind you. I said, look behind you.
Oh my god! I have syphilis! Silent Hills is cancelled. Huh. What a PT. Alright, sorry for the unannounced break, guys. I was a bit busy, and with all this stuff with the virus going on recently, it's making everything a bit stressful because I can't work. But thank you for watching episode 1 of Game Talk Season 2. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to support the channel further, a donation to my Patreon page will be greatly appreciated. Thank you all so much once again, and I'll talk to you before you know it. See you later!